Hello and welcome to the Genuine Learning blog. My name is Stephanie Theus and I'm pleased to be here to provide you with a brief update on the Office of Management and Budget's proposed revisions to Title II of the Code of Federal Regulation. The OMB provided notice of proposed revisions to OMB guidance for grants and agreements. And this guidance is to clarify existing requirements through revisions that provide further information on implementing statutory requirements and really to improve federal monitoring and ensure greater accountability and transparency. Additionally, the OMB is soliciting feedback from the general public on drafting final updates to Title II of the CFR. First up is the request for information. This is going to be found under the Notices section of the Federal Register. It's volume 88, number 27. For further reference. And the request for information regarding the potential changes to Chapter 1 and 2 of 2 CFR, which really contain regulations on grants and other cooperative agreements with non-federal entities. The RFI is seeking input on ways to improve clarity, simplicity, effectiveness really of the regulations, while also reducing administrative burden for both federal agencies, but also for the grant recipients. And specifically here, the OMB is interested in comments that are related to the following areas. So general provisions and definitions, pre and post-award requirements, and other cost principles. So feedback from this RFI will be used to inform these potential revisions to the regulations, and please keep in mind that they will be publicly made available and they are subject to records requests, so all public information. Moving on, as far as what the feedback should look like and what the OMB is requesting is specifically it should support the OMB's goals. That is to revise guidance to both incorporate statutory requirements and administrative priorities, but also to revise guidance regarding agency and recipient burden and to basically reduce that burden as much as that's feasibly possible. Additional guidance is they're seeking feedback on how to clarify this guidance. So really looking at addressing specific sections that recipients or agencies have interpreted in different ways, and then also by rewriting applicable sections just in plain English, really to improve the flow of the guidance to make it easier to understand, easier to interpret, and they want to address any inconsistencies in the use of language or terms throughout the guidance. And the revision here will not represent a complete change or restructuring of the CFR. Rather, it's to maintain the same overall structure, including the section numbers, but just making it more clear for those who it impacts the most. And so comments on the economic effects, those comments both quantitative and qualitative, are especially helpful to the OMB, and you can refer to the current version of 2 CFR by visiting the Code of Federal Regulations eCFR system, and that is easy to find at ecfr.gov. So moving on now, we're going to talk a little bit here about the actual proposed changes and the proposed rule changes. This is for 2 CFR 184 and 200. And so here the OMB aims to streamline the regulations governing grants and agreements with the overall goal of, again, reducing that administrative burden and improving the effectiveness of federal funding. So similarly to this RFI, the proposal can be found under Proposed Rules of the Federal Register. That is volume 88, number 27. And so when you look at what this proposed rule and the proposed guidance is, the revision consists of a new item as well as to modify an existing item. And the revisions are limited in scope to those items. This is to support the implementation of the Build America, Buy America Act. These provisions come from the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, and they just really, again, want to clarify that existing guidance. Just for reference, the Build America, Buy America Act, I'll refer to that as the act going forward, but in that it states none of the funds made available for federal financial assistance program for infrastructure may be obligated for a project unless all of the iron, steel, manufactured products, and construction materials used in the project are produced in the United States. And so for implementation purposes for that item found in the Act, the guidance for grants and agreements would make the proposed rule would make changes to various aspects of grant management, which really includes clarifying requirements that are related to cost principles, again, implementing new requirements for risk management, updating policies related to subrecipient monitoring, for example. The rule also includes provisions related to indirect cost rates, property management, audit requirements. And so overall, this proposed rule is intended, again, to really simplify and improve grant management for both federal agencies and those grant recipients. And so the feedback specifically that the OMB is seeking through this RFI and through the proposed rule revisions is to harmonize, right? Harmonize the regulations of federal grants and agreements, improve efficiencies, allow for greater transparency, and create a more effective process for both grant recipients and federal agencies. The RFI seeks input on ways to improve clarity, simplicity, just again the effectiveness, while the proposed rule aims to streamline those regulations that govern the grants and the agreements. So that's it in a nutshell, really. You can find all the details on the RFI and the proposal in the Federal Register by visiting www.regulations.gov. Comments for both the RFI and the proposed rule are due on or before March 13th. So thank you for sharing your time with me today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And until next time, hope to see you again soon. Adios.